If you go to the stage show, it's amazing because she uses a real Tesla coil, and the Tesla coil plays the bass line of this song called Thunderbolt she wrote. So this is an app that also relates to electricity. So if you tap it, you get these sparks. And then if you draw, it's a kind of wow, it's great with these speakers. Very satisfying kind of, lightning drawing program. But then ultimately what this is about arpeggios. So if you put 2 fingers down, you get an arpeggio that plays, a number of notes that's proportional to the distance between your fingers. So if they're really close, you just get a single note. And these are the same scales that she uses in the song. So this is kind of 1970s sort of experience. And then if you put 3 fingers down, you can then spread out the scale so they're not sequential notes, but you can use notes along the entire scale. Now each of these apps also has a song mode. So in this one, what it does is it plays Bjork's song in the background, and then you can change the bass line. So it's like you're playing the bass, and we try to make it so that, of course, it's in tune and it's at the same tempo. But you can choose how many notes and how fast they play. And I'll briefly show you also with Virus how it works as an instrument. So Virus also, a lot of the apps have 2 modes. So Virus functions as an instrument where it plays samples of this beautiful instrument called a hang. Maybe turn that up a little bit. Thanks. There we go. So some of them are just play samples. These turn on gamelan samples, the viruses. And then the red cells act like little reel-to-reel tape recorders, so you can kind of play back, looping samples. There we go. Now, a lot of people have been asking, are people going to accept this new experience, with interactive music and with apps? But I'd like to argue that what we're doing with this project is actually going back to what music was in the past. Some people in the audience never had this experience of bringing home an album, putting it on a turntable, sitting there and looking at the beautiful artwork, large artwork, and reading the right liner notes at the same time. Having this immersive experience when you first buy an album and listening to it for an hour, maybe listening to it twice, bringing your friends, but being completely engaged in the experience, just like when you're watching a movie. I think, how many remember this? Maybe less than 50%, that's scary. So what a lot of the reviews for Biophilia actually said was people were again having this experience for the first time. I think what's happened with music now is that it's a little bit like casual relationships. You go right to a kind of brushing your teeth together in the morning phase of a relationship with music. You download a digital song, you're listening to it while you're doing other things in your life, but you never have that falling in love experience where you're completely immersed by the music and get the whole album experience. So I think with the app what we're doing is allowing people to fall in love with music again and to have a completely immersive experience that overwhelms all of your senses. It demands all and rewards all of your attention at once. Now, another thing people are asking is about interactivity. Again, people are saying, well, music's not supposed to be interactive, you're supposed to just listen to it. Now, I'd like to argue that non-interactive music is the exception in history. It's something that's been dominant from about 1940 to year 2010 maybe. The killer app of the 19th century was sheet music. This was the dominant form of media, the most popular media, and is very much like apps. It's completely interactive music. You can bring it home, you can play it on the piano, the banjo, the violin, you can make the song 2 minutes or 10 minutes, you can change the words, it's a social experience with your family. So in a lot of ways what we're doing with an app is just back to that. It's back to sheet music, back to music as an interactive phenomenon. But music goes back even further. I don't know how many of you saw Cave of Forgotten Dreams, beautiful film by Werner Herzog. But towards the end of it, he talks to this, I think it's called an experimental paleomusicologist, somebody who rebuilds ancient instruments. So they discovered a 35,000-year-old flute, and this gentleman in the bearskin outfit actually built a version of this flute, and in the movie he shows that it has the pentatonic scale. You know, it's the same scale we use for a lot of songs, and he plays the Star Spangled Banner on this ancient instrument, which kind of gives you the chills, you know, making this connection through like 35,000 years. So, of course, music's always been interactive. I mean, the whole purpose of music is to perform it on real instruments with other people as a, you know, responsive, interactive experience. So, I'm very excited about, you know, apps as a medium. There's of course many kind of interesting business questions about this that we aren't talking about today. But purely from an artistic perspective, I think most musicians want to express a totality. They're not just interested in a one-dimensional stream of notes, but rather in a complete experience that encompasses visuals, costumes, music, interactivity, and the iPad and devices like that for the first time give musicians that power outside of a performance to let people interact with their music and become part of it. So I'm excited to have been you know, on the forefront of this. I got lucky working with Bjork, and I hope that there's a lot more projects like this that come about in the future.